1. Manny Pacquiao. Manny Pacquiao never fought like a man looking to win on points. He fought like a man trying to drown you in speed. His southpaw stance gave him angles most fighters hated, but it was his rhythm that made him unmanageable. The centerpiece was his straight left hand. He'd disguise it with feints, step to the outside, and whip it in like lightning. It didn't matter if you expected it, it landed anyway. Once he tagged you with that left, the chaos really began. The flurry. Pacquiao's flurry wasn't neat. It wasn't a 1-2-3 textbook, it was machine gun fire. Hooks, straights, uppercuts, all pouring in from different angles. Defending against him wasn't defense, it was panic, and he never stayed still. After unloading, he'd bounce out, pivot sideways, and come crashing in again from your blind spot. The genius wasn't in one punch, it was in the storm. Pacquiao didn't give opponents time to think. He didn't give them space to breathe. He hit from directions they weren't ready for and kept hitting until the fight bent to his will. Second, Oscar de la Hoya. Oscar de la Hoya had the nickname Golden Boy, but what made him shine inside the ring wasn't polish, it was precision. At the heart of his arsenal sat one of the finest left hooks boxing has ever seen. It was quick, compact, and devastating. He could launch it out of a jab, sneak it out of a slip, or lace it into the middle of a furious exchange. If you left the slightest opening, that hook snapped your head sideways before you realized it was coming. But De La Hoya wasn't a one-punch fighter. His jab was his steering wheel. Snappy, consistent, and always on your face. It dictated distance, forced opponents into his range, and set the rhythm he wanted. And once they tried to answer back, he punished them with the straight right counter, a sharp, punishing shot down the middle. De La Hoya's brilliance was in the mix. He combined textbook skills with raw athleticism, blending them into seamless offense. He didn't need a flash. He had timing, footwork, and a left hook that could turn a good night into a nightmare in one instant. 3. Deontay Wilder. Deontay Wilder doesn't outbox you. He doesn't need to. All he needs is one chance, one opening, and one punch. The straight right hand, his signature, is one of the most destructive weapons the sport has ever seen. 40-plus knockouts, nearly all delivered by that cannon. He sets it up with simplicity. A pawing jab, a little hand flick, something to distract. Then he steps in and launches full extension, his 83-inch reach-turning distance into danger. It doesn't even need to land clean. If it connects anywhere, you're usually going down. One of his nastiest tricks is the step-back reset. He lets opponents think they're finally closing the gap, then eases back half a step and uncorks the right as they walk straight into it. Fight over. What makes Wilder terrifying isn't skill in the traditional sense, it's the ever-present threat. He can lose every round, look sloppy, get outboxed, but his KO trigger never switches off. He can throw that right hand off balance, moving backward, or from awkward angles, and still erase you. Wilder's signature isn't finesse, it's raw, career-changing power. 4. Gennady Golovkin. Triple G doesn't just fight opponents, he corrals them. His game is built around cutting off ring with small, deliberate steps until there's nowhere left to go but into his fists. Once you're trapped, the weapon of choice isn't a hook or an uppercut. It's his jab. Golovkin's jab isn't a rangefinder, it's a weapon. He throws it like a cross, stiff, punishing, snapping heads back as if it were a power punch. He lands it with machine-like consistency, and it breaks rhythm before opponents can think about launching offense of their own. And then there's the shovel hook to the body. Half hook, half uppercut, buried under the ribs. It doesn't look flashy, but it drains you instantly. While most fighters need space to generate power, Golovkin plants, tucks his chin, and digs with terrifying efficiency. Triple G's signatures aren't tricks. They're fundamentals, sharpened until they became lethal. Every step is purposeful. Every punch is destructive. Once he has you cornered, the outcome isn't a question of if, it's only when. 5. Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury is 6 feet 9 inches, but moves like a middleweight with a PhD in deception. His main weapon? Not even a punch, it's the feint. Fury feints more than most fighters actually throw. Shoulder dips, foot twitches, head bobs, anything to freeze you for half a second. And once you pause, he owns you. He uses the lead hand like a fishing rod, pawing, tapping, blinding you. From that little touch, he can loop a hook, slip in a jab, or pull back and counter with a straight right. He switches stances mid-combo, changes rhythms constantly, and makes timing him almost impossible. But the punch that shocks people? His sneaky uppercut on the inside. Despite being a towering heavyweight, Fury loves crowding in close, leaning his bulk on you, sapping your legs, and then snapping an uppercut from nowhere. like the one that detonated Dillian White. He outsmarts you, outmaneuvers you, and by the time you catch on, you're already on the floor. 6. Canelo Alvarez. Canelo Alvarez fights like a surgeon with a sledgehammer. Every move has intent, every punch has calculation, and nothing is wasted. His most famous weapon? The left hook to the liver. He doesn't throw it casually. He sets it up with feints, looping rights or high combinations to lift your guard. The moment you bite, he digs the hook under your ribs. It's not immediate destruction. It's delayed agony. Fighters drop seconds later, crumpling as if their bodies betrayed them. But Canelo isn't just about the body. His uppercut is a nightmare. He'll slip inside, roll under, and fire it from short range with insane torque. Even when opponents think they're safe and close, one misstep, and that uppercut rips through their guard. His defense is just as impressive. He doesn't waste energy running. He slips by inches, rotates his torso, and counters in the same breath. He makes opponents swing at air, then punishes them for daring to try. Canelo's identity isn't volume. It's precision with brutality. He dismantles guards, eats up space, and leaves fighters wondering how every miss turned into pain. 7. Roy Jones Jr. Roy Jones Jr. didn't fight by the rules of the textbook. He fought like the textbook hadn't even been written yet. His signature? That lead hook from nowhere. No jab, no setup, no warning. Hands down by his waist, square stance, and then boom! A whipping hook that curved around guards and snapped heads sideways before opponents even realized the punch existed. He'd throw it while moving backward, or leap in from a distance nobody had any business attacking from, and it still landed. Then came the no-look shots, part taunt, part trap. He'd glance away, feint with his eyes, and then fire lightning while you hesitated. It wasn't just for show, it shattered rhythm. One pause against Roy, and he'd already tagged you 3 times. But the real nightmare? His reflex counters. Roy had cat instincts. He'd lean just outside range, hands dangling low like he didn't care, and the moment you missed, he'd whip back with a counterhook or straight right that looked more like instinct than strategy. It was defense by reflex, offense by explosion. 8. Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali wasn't just a fighter, he was a spectacle. His presence filled arenas before he even threw a punch, and the way he fought made sure nobody forgot him. One of the moments that defined him was the Ali shuffle. It looked like a pure flash at first, that rapid tapping of his feet, almost like a kid showing off in the gym. But it wasn't empty showboating, it was a signal. Opponents froze, crowds roared, Ali turned distraction into an opening. By the time that shuffle ended, he was already cracking a jab across your face. And that jab wasn't the stiff, textbook punch everyone else practiced. Ali turned it into a whip. The flicker jab, loose, fast, and unpredictable. It didn't look strong, but it split timing and cut skin before defenses even registered. He'd snap it while moving backward, toss it from odd angles, and still land clean. It wasn't built to end fights. It was built to break rhythm, build doubt, and set up the real punishment. Then came the rope-a-dope, the trick that seemed reckless but turned out to be genius. Ali would fall back into the ropes, arms up, chin tucked, letting heavyweights hammer away. The crowd thought he was finished. His opponent thought the same. But while they were draining their tanks, Ali was waiting, and the moment they slowed, he sprung forward with counters that sliced through exhaustion. It was mental and physical warfare rolled into one. Ali fought like no heavyweight before him, light on his feet, brilliant in his traps, poetry and constant motion. 9. Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson's presence in the ring was enough to scare off his opponents. You could see it in opponents' eyes before the first bell even rang. His whole system started with the peekaboo stance. Gloves tight, chin tucked, head constantly weaving side to side like a piston. It wasn't a defense for safety. It was defense that led into destruction. Every slip was an attack waiting to fire. The move that froze careers was his body-to-head sequence. Tyson would bury a left hook into your ribs, then instantly shoot an uppercut up the middle. It was violent, fast, and loaded with torque from his legs. You couldn't block both. If you dropped your guard to save your body, your chin got lifted. If you kept your guard high, he caved in your lungs. And Tyson didn't need space. He made the ring feel like a cage, rushing forward, slipping shots by inches, and punishing you from the inside. It was more than knockout power. It was the chaos of never knowing where the next punch would come from. One moment he's at your ribs, the next he's cracking your jaw, all in less than a second. That left hook-right uppercut combo was the exclamation point. Tyson is known for ending his opponent's confidence, careers, and whole strategies before they even had a chance. 10. Floyd Mayweather. Floyd Mayweather never relied on raw violence. His strength was control, total, calculated control of distance, timing, and angles. The centerpiece of his style was the Philly shell. One shoulder raised, right hand tucked, chin tilted away. It made him maddeningly difficult to hit clean. From that stance, he pulled off his deadliest weapon, the pull counter. He'd leaned forward just enough to bait the jab. Opponents thought they finally had him lined up. The instant they committed, he snapped his upper body back by a hair, dodging the punch by a whisper, then whipped a right hand down the pipe, perfectly timed, perfectly placed. The risk was enormous. If he mistimed it, he'd get caught flush. But Floyd made it look like second nature. Another gem was the check hook. Ask Ricky Hatton about it. Mayweather waited for the rush, pivoted off his back foot, and whipped a hook so precise that Hatton's body twisted into the turnbuckle. That wasn't brute force. That was surgical boxing. Mayweather's style was built on punishing mistakes. He never needed to overwhelm you. He just needed you to throw first. Once you did, the fight belonged to him. 50 opponents tried, 50 failed. 11. Sugar Ray Leonard. This guy? He was speed with purpose. His calling card? The flurry. Not wild punches, but controlled chaos. 5, 6, sometimes 10 shots in a blur. Hooks, straights, body shots, all mixed with just enough flash to electrify the crowd and sway judges. Leonard loved dropping those at the end of rounds, stealing momentum and leaving opponents shaking their heads in frustration. But Leonard wasn't reckless. He was sneaky. The pull counter jab was one of his favorite traps. He'd dangle his chin, lean forward like he was begging to be hit, and the second you reached, he'd slide back and snap a jab or right hand straight into your face. Clean, humiliating, and fast. Then there were his pivots. Leonard never stayed in front of you. He'd finish a combo, sidestep out, and reappear at an angle you weren't ready for. Elegant footwork, feeding violent offense. That was Leonard's secret, not just knowing how to use his speed, but knowing when to unleash it. 12. Rocky Marciano. Rocky Marciano didn't care if you were taller, slicker, or technically sharper. His whole style was pressure and pain. He was smaller than most of his opponents, just 5 feet 10 inches in an era of big heavyweights, so he perfected the art of closing distance and breaking bodies. Rocky's final move was the Susie Q, his overhand right. A looping, clubbing punch that came down like a hammer. It wasn't the fastest shot, but it was perfectly timed and thrown with absolute bad intentions. That same punch ended Jersey Joe Walcott's title reign in one of the most brutal one-punch KOs ever. He mauled you. He'd bury his head in your chest and hammer away at your ribs, arms, shoulders, everything took damage. When he really got rolling, his hooks came in wild waves, swinging both hands with reckless abandon, sometimes off balance, always dangerous. Marciano's signature was relentless aggression. He was a storm in gloves, and once it started, there was no stopping it. 13. Joe Frazier. Joe Frazier didn't just pressure opponents, he smothered them. Every second, every round, he came forward in a crouch, bobbing and weaving, rolling under shots as he marched closer and closer. His defense wasn't distance, it was motion. Head always moving, shoulders rolling, always stalking. And all of it funneled into one weapon, the left hook, compact, violent, and devastating. He'd rip the body with hooks and uppercuts, forcing your guard down, then pivot slightly and detonate that hook upstairs. That's the punch that floored Muhammad Ali in the fight of the century. It didn't just drop opponents, it took up pieces of them. Frazier wasn't interested in outpointing anyone. He wanted to drag you into the fire, force you to trade, and then beat you down with a left hand that never stopped coming. His style was simple: get close, stay close, and keep burning until you broke. 14. Julio Cesar Chavez. Julio Cesar Chavez turned the left hook to the body into a nightmare for anyone standing across from him. It wasn't just a punch, it was a plan. He stalked opponents like prey, walking them down, taking away their space until they had nowhere left to move. Then he'd go to work. A jab to the head, a right hand upstairs, and just when they braced high, he'd slam that left hook under the elbow. The sound alone told the story. It wasn't a snap. It was a thud, like someone hitting a heavy bag made of bone. Fighters crumbled from it. Some tried to stay upright, but you could see the pain in their faces. Their arms dropped, their legs shook, their bodies betrayed them. Chavez didn't need flash or fancy tricks. He built his entire dominance on pressure, patience, and a punch that broke wills. That's the thing about boxing. The moves might change, the rules might shift, but the moments stick. A clean knockout, a perfect body shot, or a fighter pushing past what's supposed to be possible. Those are the pieces that stay burned into history. You can watch the sport evolve year after year, but the truth is simple. Legends aren't replaced. They set the bar, and everyone else is just chasing shadows. Now, if you love diving into these stories, make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more boxing history and breakdowns.